Hi, my name Nunu, and I just jumped off the porch with Dirty Glove Bastards.
Be by myself and not need anybody else. It's like love's the only thing to numb the pain. Wish I could forget.
Yes, sir. All right, y'all. We got Nunu jumping off the porch with us today. What's up, bro?
What's going on? How you doing?
Man, I'm feeling great, bro. How you feeling?
I'm good.
That's what's up,
Blessed.
man. Yo, we finally made it. We made it happen. You here on the porch.
Yeah.
Man, we here, bro. First of all, I want to start by just asking you, man, like, how's your mental health these days, man? Just want to do a mental health check.
Good. I've been through a nice amount of stuff, in my life. You know what I mean? So like now coming home, I was in prison for a little bit. So I'm coming home, like adjusting to my life with kids and life with a wife. And I realized that like I was in like survival mode my whole entire life. So it's like, that's been the thing that's been adjusting for me, because like now I have to I don't have to worry about like getting shot at or like, the same BS that I had to worry about when I was running the streets. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like a traumatizing thing that you really never realize, because it still sits on your nervous system. Like even with normal people who just like going through life, you know what I mean? You would react to them a certain type of way and stuff like that. So it's been nice. It's been real nice. It's been a lot of help from my wife, my kids, my uncle, support system, so it's just like, it's a really dope thing, you know what I mean?
Coming from these environments that we come from, we'll deal with stress on a daily basis. We'll be in fight or flight mode and won't even understand, that some of the things that we're dealing with on a regular basis may make us depressed. Yeah. Or, be stressful or whatever. And so a lot of times it's just normal, what I mean? Because you're in that fight or flight mode. So what has it been like now being able to step out of that mode and even be in a environment that's more based on love than it is on survival?
Well, at first it was weird, you know what I mean? Because I never ever experienced it. So it's like the life that I thought was like real turned out to be like kind of like fake, you know what I mean? Like I was living in a lie, like it got so bad to the point where like, if I lose my job, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go rob or do something illegal, opposed to just like a normal person to be like, I'm gonna go get a new job. Like, just go get a new job. Like, and that's stuff that I had to really learn and like really learn to deal with and learn to cope with. Like, this is the way you live. And I had to do it because of my kids, because it's like, if I keep on doing the wrong thing, then they gonna do the wrong thing, because they love me, you know what I mean? So whatever I do, they do, you know what I mean? They love that. If they need a video game level to beat, it's me. If they need something built, they need sports, they need somebody to talk to, understand, I'm there. So it's just like, you just gotta learn from it.
No, for sure. And how difficult has that transition into this new way of thinking and this new way of moving, how difficult was it for you, and maybe is it for you to adapt to that and understand that, again, it's not just about survival and getting how you live, but like you got people that love you and understanding that.
See, for me, it was like, it's hard at first. It was hard at first, but what happened was like my anger, my lack of patience, like all these different things got so heavy within our relationship that it forced me to see that like what I'm doing is wrong, and like I need to change and I need to address some stuff about myself. And if I didn't do it, it would have made me lose my family, you know what I mean? It would separate my relationship. I don't want to be, 60 years old and my kids barely come over, you know what I mean? Or they don't really want to talk to me, or the story that they tell about me is something that's like traumatizing, not something that's positive. So it's like when you look at stuff like that, it's like, shit, I gotta change, you know what I mean? Because I can't be mad. They say, oh, my dad was never here for me and I wasn't never there for him. Like, how can I be mad about that? Like, that's just what it was. So that's what they remember. Yeah. So I got to make sure they remember the right things, not the wrong ones. So.
No, for sure. And I think a lot of people mistake, a lot of parents, they mistake, the fact that they may have been there monetarily for their kids and they may have provided in certain ways, but then not being there emotionally and not, being able to, just help them through some of those things that bring like those early memories good memories that you have of your parents and all that. We get so stuck on, but hey, I put you through school, or hey, I made sure of this, that it's like, but you weren't there emotionally.
Yeah, like you did the bare minimum.
Yeah.
You did what you was forced to by law, damn
Yeah.
near, because you can actually get in trouble about it for not doing certain things. So it's like you did what you was forced to by law. You didn't really do what like actually would have required you to make sacrifice and change yourself and grow yourself. You know what I mean? And address things that you've been through. So it's just like that's where we're trying to get to. You got to get there. If you don't get there, it's like it's a consistent circle.
Yeah.
It never ends, you know what I mean? So I had to be real with myself. There's a lot of stuff people don't want to hear themselves say to themselves. They don't want to hear like, oh, you know, like I gangbanged at one point in time, you know what I mean? I don't bring that around my kids. It's negative. Do I frown upon people who do it? No. But the point is that like, because I know that I went to the joint for it, I got shot at for it, I got, you know, whatever happened, you know what I mean? Why would I want the same thing for them? Right. So to sit there and tell them that with a straight face and be like, yeah, boys, let's go. I just can't do it. Because I just know, it hurt me so much, you know what I mean? So it's just like, I respect people because I know how it is and I know what you gotta do to handle what you gotta do. But it don't mean that I'm gonna bring it to my kids though. Right. You know, even if I gotta one day, you know, have to protect myself or protect my family, it's just like, I'm gonna teach my kids the right way, you know? We're gonna practice boxing, self-defense. We're gonna educate ourselves. We're gonna build up our mind and our core, you know what I mean? Build up family, support, you know, beliefs, morals, values, and everything like that. And it's just like, that's where you focus at.
No, absolutely. And so you're originally from Chicago.
Yeah.
Word. And what side? What part of Chicago?
South side, 34th from Prairie. So
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up there. You know, I grew up there my whole life until probably like 10. I moved to Wisconsin for a while, so I stayed there. And then I stayed there with my auntie. So my mom ended up moving to Arizona. I stayed there with my auntie. So after she passed, we ended up coming down here. Okay. We ended up buying a house down here and moving our family, and shit, that was the best choice, honestly, because it's a lot different.
That's what's up. And at a young age, what was influencing you?
As far as music or just in life?
Just in life. Like what were you gravitating to, you know, at a young age as you were, you know, coming of age?
Honestly, my relatives, which weren't really good role models. So, you know, it's the wrong stuff. You know, I was, you know, already gangbanging at a young age. I thought that was cool. You know, I thought like, you know, being aggressive, fighting, standing up for myself. You know, just a whole bunch of fake manly things that we tell each other. You know what I mean? And it's just like, that's basically what my childhood was. You know what I mean? Like now I look back, that's where I said that reflection. I look back now and I'm like, damn, I was really tripping. Like people really was telling me like, or showing me that this was the way, when they could have at least just said like, damn, I fucked up, I made my way already. But you can change, so let me put you in these different situations, you know what I mean? So I guess my influence is really like the wrong things. I grew up in Chicago, so it's like, I grew up in the hood. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't no just fun and just, like it was fun in our way, you know what I mean? We enjoy it and we love it because that's where we come from. Right. But it wasn't like truly fun to like now. Like now, like my kids don't ever see anything, like they don't go through no problems. I'm like, damn, that's true fun. Like, we used to go run the block and fight and kick it, but like like, we looked at it as fun, but it's not fun, you know what I mean? Like we was out there getting hurt, people was getting hurt, so it's just like, it's dope, you know, it's dope to let my kids see this stuff.
Something that was interesting for me was, you know, I'm from Milwaukee, and
you get it.
Yeah, and I definitely, you know, came up in the trenches and understand all of that. And I moved my mom's down here, like to the suburbs and all that, and she was like, you know, in my 70 years of living, she was like, every single day of my life I've heard sirens. And she was like, now not hearing sirens, she was like, it's almost scary not hearing that sound, because all you hear in the suburbs where I'm living at is birds chirping. Yeah,
it's quiet.
You know what I'm saying? You hear woodpeckers and all that type of stuff. Yeah. And it's like, and I remember her saying that, and it was just like, damn, you know, like we really don't understand like what we're surrounded by and what we you know are encountering on a daily basis, being in those environments that we from. You know, and it's crazy. And it seemed normal.
Yeah, and it's crazy because like I moved down here, like I have cousins too that moved down here from Chicago. Yeah. So it's like I was just with them. You know, I was like, man, you know, y'all like it down here? They're like, hell yeah, like we ain't never leave. And I'm like, yeah, man, everybody's so nice down here and shit. They're like, nice. But like I realized that we like in two different areas too. So it's like, they have a different experience than I have. So it's just like that's dope though, to like be able to bring that to my family and stuff, and like even them like getting out of like here is better than where they came from. You know what I mean? So it's just dope. Like, cause I ain't gonna lie, it's cracking.
Nah, for sure. At what point would you say you jumped off the porch?
In what sense?
I mean, I consider jumping off the porch just that point in time where you found your individuality, you know, where you were finding yourself, where you were coming of age. Got from under mama's tutelage and started figuring things out kind of on your own, bumping your head.
See, but that's like, there's levels to that. So like, okay, so jumping off the porch. I jumped off the porch probably like, I don't know, 11, 12. You know what I mean? I was running the streets in that sense. But like, I also feel like I just jumped off the porch just like last year.
Word.
Like just last year, I just really jumped off the porch, like in a more mature way, like where I'm making bread and I'm setting up my family. You know what I mean? I'm looking at like S&P 500s and like indexes and educating my kids like, hey, you know, if you take this much money out your bread, you can be multi-millionaires just off of that. So like that's dope as hell. Yeah. You know what I mean? But like I take that as jumping off the porch.
Absolutely.
I was still on the porch. I was stuck in the trap. I wasn't even off the porch. I was in the trap house just chilling. You know, this whole time for my whole life for 30 years until now. Now I really understand like, damn, I'm tripping. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it took me coming down here and seeing so many black successful people to realize like, damn, we got a place. Like we don't have to actually just be in this systematic racism situation or like whatever it is. It's a bunch of traps. So let's not even go through that. Right. So it's like we don't have to be stuck there though. And this showed me that when I seen all the people, even the people who aren't like in the suburbs and inner city people who still getting it day to day, they hustling. Like I mean hustling in a good way. Like they doing their thing and it's super dope. I mean t-shirts, food trucks, catering service, whatever. Like, what you need me to do? Power wash, like, that's dope. Like, all right, and it's cool. And I just see how we thrive in here. Like, when there's so many of us actually doing what we need to do together, like, we thrive. Yeah. We thrive, and that's a dope thing.
Nah, for sure. Nah, it definitely is. Being exposed to seeing people hustling in a positive way. Yeah. Like it's not, you know, where we come from, it's like, it's a couple of ways of hustling, and you know what I mean, between slanging some dope or pimping or you know what I'm saying, whatever, and it's all things that's not necessarily constructive. Look cool when we young because we seeing cats wearing the dopest clothes and driving fly cars and all of that, but it's like, damn, like you poisoning people's bodies, their minds, you know, all of that. And so like you said, being able to be in an environment where you see people hustling and owning a car wash or owning this type of business where you might not even know that you were able to even have this type of business. It's
dope to like. I just learned that a lot of healthcare things are franchised down here. That's dope. You know what I mean? Like, you know, in Wisconsin, it's basically all government. Yeah. It's just government. Like you ain't finna be like dipping your fingers into their business. You know what I mean? So that's dope. That everybody down here franchising like health, everything.
Yeah, chiropractors and stuff like
eyelash, chiropractors, surgeries, all kinds of stuff being done. You know what I mean? Our actual healthcare provider is actually franchised. Right. So it's just like that's cool. You know what I mean?
Nah, for sure. And when did you discover your love for music? Or, I mean, because you're a creative all the way around. So, what aspect of your creativity did you discover first and tap into first?
Music.
Okay.
Music. I like music. So my uncle, he was a DJ. So like he never taught me anything, but just being around that, I loved music. You know, break dancing, just music in general. You know what I mean? Growing up, it still was kind of dormant. Like it wasn't really around still though, because after I left, I wasn't around him. Mm-hmm. So in prison, I would say was when it got woken back up, my first time. So actually the COs at the joint, they taught me how to play piano. So it was a girl and a female. One taught me how to do one thing, the other one taught me how to do the other thing. So that kind of like helped me start like being able to make somewhat of a beat, you know what I mean, for my songs. And I just started making music, you know. After that, I started studying Jay-Z, Kendrick Lamar. I just started studying people who were super lyrical. Mm-hmm. And like I understood that like longevity came with saying something, you know what I mean? And like your delivery can change and stuff, but like you have to say something important, you know what I mean? So it's like, I just kind of kept developing over time. I got a chance to go to like one of my guys' studio, JFK, you know what I mean? I went to his studio and he just kind of gave me the place to go, and I just started learning how to record myself. I just started doing everything. Yeah. So it just grew. She put a lot into me. She bought like my first little, like cheap little Scarlett setup, and I just sat in that room with them before my junior was even born. So I just sat in the room and we just was like making music. So it just gradually grew and grew and grew, you know what I mean?
And who are some other artists that influenced you early on?
Michael Jackson, like that's my favorite. Michael Jackson, lyrically, anybody who say something. So like I'm talking about J. Cole, I'm talking about Kendrick Lamar, I'm talking about Jay-Z, I'm talking about Biggie, Tupac, every single person. If you got something to say in your lyrics, I love